What will you do, or have you done, to ensure our schools are safe for LGBTQ youth? Those in the audience who need some help with these letters: lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgendered, and questioning youth. Candy, this is for you.
What have I done, or what will I do, is the question. We actually just on Tuesday unanimously the board unanimously supported the revised policy 7200, and I absolutely believe that's a step in the right direction, and I will continue to advocate for. I was in full support right from the beginning of the process, and will continue to advocate for our oh my goodness, I can't even LGBTQ youth and families and staff, absolutely.
Thank you very much, Candy. Following the Supreme Court decision on Bills 27 and 28, what is your position on the restoration in the collective agreement of guaranteed class size limits, specialist teacher ratios, and provisions for supporting students with special needs?
Can I read it again?
It helps you to read it as well, yes.
I think that in order for people to do their jobs properly, they have to be equipped with the appropriate language to do that job. I think that by taking that language away from teachers, you have stripped them of something very important, which is the ability to communicate with their employer. Now, saying that, I also know that a decision is going to be made. And from that decision, we'll have to move forward. That, as a parent, that is what I'm going to have to do. That's my position. But I do really believe that in order for people to do their job properly, they must be equipped with the appropriate language to even discuss their job.
Thank you very much, Shelley. What will you do, or have you done, to strengthen the local bargaining process?
The school district, starting off with the teachers union, changed the way bargaining was done locally, and this was a suggestion from the BCTF and from the LTA to alter the bargaining away from your traditional offer and counter offer and more towards identifying goals that both sides were trying to achieve, and have a discussion around what can be done to achieve those goals. I know that round of local bargaining went very well, and I think continuing that would be an excellent way to both improve relationships, which are good already, but also improve the local contracts and move forward, and hopefully that can spill over to some broader bargaining going more smoothly.
Thank you very much. What is the first thing you will do in your capacity as trustee?
The first thing I would do would be to reach out to neighboring districts and begin a collaboration. I truly believe that the #1 step in moving forward to get some movement from the government is the show of force. We can't go in silos anymore. We need to come together and band together and say enough is enough. No more conversations. We have to demand. And I think that if we have the force of the Surrey School District and their other neighboring school districts coming together with that beyond request, with the demand for funding, we can do that. So I would set up the channels of communication, set up a formal network where we can work together and lobby the government as a whole.
Thank you very much, Corinne. What is your position on the loss of non-enrolling teaching positions in this district, such as teacher librarians, counselors, and ELL teachers?
Thank you. I think it's devastating. We have, as I mentioned in the intro, an education system that we as a society have come together since the beginning of Confederation, have held the belief that education is a wise investment in the future. these non-enrolling positions are just as critical pieces of the puzzle as the teachers in the classroom and everybody else who makes education successful in our schools. We need to get these positions back. Our children deserve education which enables them to be equipped for the future.
Thank you very much, Megan. What do you see as the role of neighborhood schools in our school district?
My kids went to neighborhood schools, and I think that it's a very important part of the community building process. It is not easy to have your kids going a long, long distance away and still be able to do all of the functions that you would normally do with a neighborhood school. Any of the special things that you do, all of the pageants and all those sorts of things, if you're not in the neighborhood, it's very much more difficult to achieve. When I went to school, I was about 45 kilometers away from the school, and I can tell you it was very difficult. So I would hope that when we were planning, I was looking at one of the planning things today from 2011, and when they planned the North Slope, they planned to have schools as a center of the community, and somehow that's coming apart, and that's really unfortunate. So, in my opinion, it's important.
Thank you very much, Julie. What do you see as the challenges and opportunities of the new curriculum and 21st century learning?
I think the biggest challenge that everyone will face is change. It's a huge change, and nobody likes change. And I think that goes right from the teachers and how they're going to present the information to the parents, because many parents think that that's not the way we did it, so hold on a second here. Right down to kids, there was a survey done at the school my child was at with a variety of questions, and one of them was to do with the personalized learning in the 21st century, and kids were actually answering, can we just have a pencil and paper and get on with it? So even the kids are apprehensive about the change. So I think that is a huge challenge. I also think a big challenge is going to be waiting to see, I guess, because I don't think we've seen most of it, how the assessments will roll out, because assessment will be different as well, and I don't think we've seen that really as to what it's going to look like. The positive side of it, I think this is the direction that education needs to go. When you look at where we are today in terms of technology, kids can access anything out of a little piece of device in their pocket. They need to learn how to access it, and they need to learn how to communicate with people. They need to learn how to collaborate with people. Those are the biggest challenges that young people face today as young adults, and if we equip our kids at younger ages to be prepared for that, then they'll do a better job when they're off in the workforce.
Thank you very much, Christine. What is your vision for public education in Langley?
That's a fun question. Thank you. My vision for public education in Langley is one where kids are engaged and empowered and excited about their learning. There's so much wonderful good things that are going on in our district right now. There are so many exciting initiatives. Teachers are doing incredibly amazing things. We had a presentation on Tuesday night about how kids are connecting to other kids in other countries to learn, to do what's called inquiry-based learning, where they're thinking deeper, thinking broader. My vision is that classrooms are outside the community, inside, not just in the school, but outside in the community, where kids have a chance to connect with their community, to connect with seniors, to connect with the people that they live with around them, and that kids get up excited every morning and want to come to school.
Thank you very much, Alison. Lisa, what will you do to ensure that the government restores funding that was cut due to government legislation of Bills 27 and 28?
Thank you. Ironically, it's very similar to the question that I just answered. And so one of the things that I've identified is the fact that, as referred to by another trustee candidate, a lot of the funding that's been cut for those resource teachers. So what I see is primarily the fact that there are very few psychologists working in the district. So in order for these children to get diagnoses, you need to have psychologists. We were put on a 3-year wait list for our girls, and when we got to the 3 years, they told us that they weren't bad enough, that there were other kids in front of them. So we had to go out and pay, privately get that assessment done, and once we did, we were able to get those kids the funding that they needed so that they could get SCA support. Which in turn, once they got the SCA support, it was able to alleviate some of the responsibilities from the teacher. So in and of itself, how do we work within the system to get funding for the schools now? Yes, as I answered before, we can lobby to the government, but as an immediate solution, if we were to press upon hiring more psychologists, because as I believe in our district, in our particular region, there's only one. And so I think that by getting those funds to for those kids will alleviate some of the problems.
Thank you very much. What specific steps will you take to secure adequate education funding entirely for this district?
Again, what would I do is based on communication. The communication piece is critical, and I think we need to do some very thorough assessments on the felt needs of each school, each district, based on the culture and the communities that they're interfacing with. And then we need to pull together documentation very much like a business plan and be able to present that forward to the ministry and come up with some creative solutions built upon the foundations that were pre-existing today, and start working on ideas of collaboration and integration with our partnering supporters around us. We have the foundation that we can work with, we have the government we can work with. We need to get that communication tighter and ensure that our teachers are involved in that process, and create a subcommittee that will work diligently towards that focus.
Thank you very much. Describe an action initiated by you that resulted in a positive change for the community.
I'm not sure if this qualifies as being part of the community, but I stepped onto the board for the Urban Safari Rescue Society 2 years ago. And they're a rescue society for non-indigenous exotic animals. So that cute lizard that somebody bought that's now this big and they don't know what to do with it, we give them a place to deal with it. This year I stepped into the position of president, and I'm helping to push forward the ecology center that we have planned, and we're hoping to break ground in 2 years. So I've met with Surrey officials in the capacity of president this year. So albeit it's new and it's somewhat limited to the exotic animal area, it is an initiative that I've taken to improve the local community.
Thank you very much. If elected, how would you address the transfer of public funds to support private schools?
Well, I don't think we need to encourage a growth in public funds going to private schools. I think there's a good balance in the province at this time. And so it's not really something I would spend any time on. I really believe as a community we need to take care of our own town. And we did that years ago when we, as a school board, decided that the Langley School District Foundation was something that we wanted to take hold of. And so it was birthed years ago. And 10 years later we have $2.3 million in the bank, and we're doing great things. And long after I'm gone, that foundation and those dollars are going to be doing good things for the schools.
Thank you, Rod. You have chosen. How did you express your support for teachers and public education during the recent job election?
Okay, I'm not sure. In all honesty, at one of our meetings at the Abbotsford Teachers Association, we were feeling kind of a little bit demoralized. And I spoke to the members there, and I said they felt like they had no voice. Our money was spent. We were no longer receiving strike pay. People were looking at mortgages being deferred, those kind of payments. There was hardship in that room. And yes, we are professionals. I get that. We are professionals and we need to manage our money and that. But there was hardship in that room. And the people were saying, why isn't the BCTF spending money on advertising that? And I said, guys, there's no money there. But each and every one of you has a voice. You have a voice inside. You have a voice on social media sites. You have friends. You have relatives. You have your schools. You have your parents. That's how.
Thank you very much. We have, how do you engage others to support your vision of public education?
I like this question. I lead by example. That's how I would answer this question. I have engaged in public education for a number of years. I've gotten involved with my children's school, and I've also been a coach for sports and just, I've done, it's just really important. I believe it takes a whole community to raise a child. So my vision is that, as we talk about the dollars needed for education, we need to talk about how can we as partners in a community uphold a child and support that child and give that child the best education as well. And not only that child, but the teachers and the administrators in that school. When we're struggling with trying to find funds, for libraries and classrooms, and teachers are having to spend their funds, it's up to parents, community partners to come together and to help with that role. So my vision is to really focus on community building schools.
Thank you very much, Rosemary.